Hello and welcome back to Not My Cup of Tea, the podcast where we read and review the widest romance novels out there so you don't have to. Hello Rin.
Hello, Johanna.
We are
back!
The boys are back in town! Or should I say, the boys are back on Not Hot.
Yes, if you got all our hints that was in the last episode.
I think the past 4 episodes we've been dropping hints.
Yeah, we have.
We've been planning this for a bit.
We're not subtle.
We're not subtle, no. We're just excited. So we're going back to our roots. If you might remember, our very first episode was Planet Barbarians. And today, we are revisiting Georgie and Vectile. Or, not really. Anyway, yeah, we're back with part 2 of the Planet Barbarian series, which is called...
Ice Planet Barbarian Alien.
I think it's just Barbarian Alien for some reason without the Ice Planet, which makes no sense.
But it's the book is called Barbarian Alien, and then part of the Ice Planet Barbarian series.
Exactly, that's it. And they were written by Ruby Dixon.
Fucking OG. What was I going to say? If you don't know the first book, please go back and listen to the first episode, obviously, because otherwise you'll have no fucking idea what the fuck we're going on about.
Yeah, a lot of the time, but I think also, you could probably listen to this still.
You could probably still figure it out.
Yeah, you can figure out it's not that complicated.
It's not that deep.
It's not that deep. Also, because this is relevant in these books, content warnings, please look, because, there's some weird shit in this, and, yeah, please check this out first.
There do be porn.
Yeah, there do be porn, and, yeah, there's so much. They have a weird consent dynamic going on in all those books, you know.
I feel like this one is particularly worse somehow.
Yeah, it's worse than the first one. So just saying, you know.
Yeah. Just
saying. Also, though, you know,
it's not quite flashbang levels of.
It's not flashbang levels of rapey, but it's not great.
There's definitely a spectrum.
There is a spectrum, and yeah, we could make a chart at some point.
Or one of the what's the two things where it's the two circles and then
the Venn diagram.
Yeah, we could do a Venn diagram.
Yes, of the different themes. Or also I was thinking just the levels of respect for consent.
Fuck yeah.
A tier
what would be right at the top? This is uber consensual. Here we fuck. I'm thinking Bear Paw Ridge.
I mean, Bear Paw Ridge was a good one. Also, fucking I think definitely one of the Chuck Tingle ones. There's been so many, but I think some of the really weird porny ones were actually really consensual.
Maybe one day we should do a ranking.
We should do a ranking.
Oh, that'd be kind of fun.
That'd be quite fun.
Yeah.
All right, should we dive in?
Yeah, I don't want to, but yeah.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, we both been taking notes for this all afternoon, so
yeah. This is Ice Planet Barbarians 2, Barbarian Alien.
Indeed it is.
So, first thing off the bat, it is in fact Liz and not Liv, because that's my mistake from episode 1, when I changed her name halfway through for no reason.
Yeah, that was somebody I thought I was having a stroke.
So did I. But the book begins with an immediate short recap of the last few chapters. We're delving straight into shit that we already know that has happened, but fair enough. It gives us a different perspective on it though, because now we are following Liv's consciousness. Oh my god, I'm already doing it. Liz's consciousness.
Yes.
That sounded like someone knocked on the door there. I was like, holy shit.
I think it was just something in the house.
It's Booby.
You say it's Booby?
It's Booby.
Oh, it's Booby. I thought you said it's Booby.
It's Booby?
Yeah, I guess. I don't think a booby knocked on the door.
Das ist Booby.
I don't think a booby knocked on the door. It's a large sentient boob going, ow.
I'm here for your birthday. I hired a stripper, but they're just in a large boob costume. Not tits. Just the one.
Just the one. Oh my god, okay.
First tangent. So it jumps to the part where they're waking up the girls in the pods. Do you remember like all these girls?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
you looked at me like, what?
No, I'm listening. No, I was just gonna say, because I think it's also for people like who read the series like not in order, you know, so you get kind of like
so you can kind of jump in
context,
and be like, oh, okay, this is where we are on the timeline of Ice Planet Barbarians.
Exactly. Yeah.
Totally.
Exactly.
So these women are like noticeably distressed because, you know, they've just woken up on a fucking alien planet. Yep. So Liz doesn't feel too hot. She is, you know, she's been starving, she's freezing, she's obviously got the quee sickness, as we know.
Yeah.
And because of this, she has like minimum sympathy towards the girls who are scared because they've kind of just been like inadvertently just been taken care of for the past like few weeks.
Yeah.
Which isn't their fault, but also Liz is like,
fuck you
guys.
guys.
Like, they're complaining about things that she feels like are a luxury, like, because they're like, oh, we've got these blankets. She's like, I've been fucking freezing my ass off with no fire, like, what the fuck. So she kind of becomes like Mother Superior for a hot minute and like huddles all these new girls around the fire, and she takes charge and she says, right, let's play an icebreaker. Pun intended, to like learn more about each other. I'm gonna be honest, there's a whole bunch of names at this point. I didn't feel like it was important.
Nah,
I didn't write them down.
There's people like
there's new people.
Yeah.
That's the end of that.
Yeah.
But we find out a little bit more because obviously they're all introducing themselves. Liz introduces herself and she says that she was a data entry clerk from Oklahoma. So bit of context,
cool.
Kind of fun.
Cool.
Again, she just kind of does a brief summary of book 1 to the girls, where she's like, yeah, we were on this spaceship and there was these aliens, blah 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 blah. And she's trying to make like jokes because, like myself, when you're in a traumatic situation, the best thing to do is just make everyone laugh.
Exactly.
But no one is laughing because, you know, this is like uber trauma.
Yeah, this is not great.
And like one of the girls gets all sassy with Liz and she's like, well, how do we know that the original aliens were like bad guys? Like, what if they were taking us like somewhere nice? Like, how do you know that? Like, just be like a bitch. And then Liz is like, okay, but they were horrid, so no, shut your face.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, they brutally raped this other girl, like, you know?
Yeah,
like in front
come
of
on.
all of them, like, yeah.
Exactly. But obviously she's probably just scared and wants to be angry at someone.
Yeah.
And Liz is the target. Yep, so again, there's a lot of recapping about like what the planet is, where kind of they are, like what a quee is, and like the quee sickness, obviously, because of that.
If that makes no sense to you, just listen back to the first episode.
Honestly do, but also the audio quality in the first episode is abysmal.
Oh yeah, it's horrid, so...
Sorry. Like, we're not redoing that book, I'm sorry. You just,
no, we're not.
You gotta deal with the bad audio quality.
You just gotta deal with it.
Or read the first book yourself. There's a thought. Don't be lazy. Yeah, again, it makes narrative sense why she's saying all this stuff, but I was just sitting there like, yeah, we know,
shut the
Liz.
fuck
Like,
up,
get
Liz.
into like the good shit.
Get to the porn.
Fuck. So after all the talking, Liz is obviously left exhausted and kind of huddles down in a corner. And soon, Rahash appears. Oh, who's Rahash? He is like this big, hulking, 7-foot, sexy blue alien who is going to be the love interest for this now.
Yes, he's our other protagonist.
He is. So he appears with like a hot cup of rank tea, like disgusting tea, and he forces Liz to drink it. And it doesn't taste good, but at least it's warm.
Yeah.
And before he leaves, because he doesn't stay for long, he kind of reaffirms what his name is, which Kira translates to angry one who growls.
Which is kind of cute.
It is really fitting. My question is Rahash Rahash. Is that his actual name?
Ooh,
or
like
is
a
that
nickname?
like a nickname that he... Or in Sakui culture, do you get your name... Is it like a Seven Dwarfs situation where you get your name after like your character trait?
I
like
mean,
happy dopey shit like
Yeah,
that?
I know what you mean. Maybe that's it, because like, imagine like birthing a baby and then be like, oh yeah, we're gonna call this angry little shit, you know?
Well, that's
like,
it. That's it. Because how would you know that he's going to be an angry little shit? Like, to me, I was like, this is interesting. Anyway, his constant care of Liz is really starting to piss her off because she knows it's just him kind of inadvertently calling dibs on her as a mate.
Yeah.
And she hasn't heard him resonate for her, so she has no idea why he's even trying this.
Yeah.
Because she's like, okay, but like, your whole thing is resonance, and you haven't done that, so why the fuck? Yep, and we again get a little description of Rahash. He's apparently like very scarred in comparison to the other aliens. He has like greyish looking skin.
Yeah.
It's like a grey blue, and he has a very long tail. So she kind of like thinks about whether that equates to penis size, which, okay, whatever.
I mean, spoiler.
Spoiler, it
does.
does. And he also has a horn missing, and as I've said, he's 7 foot tall and scarier looking than the others, which she kind of like expresses out loud.
Oh yeah.
To the other girls. Liz looks kind of forward to when she'll get a quee and it'll reject him instantly, so she can be like, yeah, fuck you.
She's such a petty bitch and I love it.
Yeah, she's really smug. It's
It's
great.
great.
And then it like switches perspective to Rahash, who is not happy with the cards he's been dealt as well. He is annoyed that he is resonating for Liz, and she's like the mouthy one. But he is hiding it, so he's like, every time like a little rumble starts in his chest, he's like, shut up.
So that's why Liz hasn't heard it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus she's been unconscious for a lot of this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So he hates how stubborn she is. And he also hates the fact that she is like, out of all of the group, she is one of the weakest ones, like in terms of
Like physically. Yeah.
She's really pale, she's really frail looking, and he's just like, why the fuck would my queen choose this little shriveled raisin as my mate? Okay, fair enough. It's quite funny. So he's like lying to all his friends about resonating and about how he like actually feels about her. So he and all the other aliens are like packing shit up from the ship, and he thinks about how cursed he is because he has never had a lover.
He's so fucking dramatic the entire time.
He
like,
is.
Jesus Christ.
He's a bit of an incel.
I was gonna say the same thing. Borderline.
Because it's like, he is not.
He's not really like blaming like the girls for him
No,
being lonely,
he's
but
just
like,
I look ugly as fuck, and that's why no one wants to fuck me,
exactly.
and this is my one chance at getting some, and she fucking hates me.
Yeah.
That's his perspective.
And then all
on
like
this.
feeling sorry for himself.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
It's a pity party. He's throwing a pity party.
He very much is, yeah.
He is, yeah. So the only woman that is for him hates him and thinks he looks scary because, spoiler alert, he can understand what she's saying.
Yeah.
So they had like this thing on with the ship from book 1 where you could go and you could get like the info dump about the other person's language. Rahash did do that.
Exactly.
Liz doesn't know that he did that.
Yeah.
And this comes back.
Oh yeah, this comes back.
This comes back.
This comes back.
So a small part of his bad mood subsides when he thinks about, even though she hates him, he still does now like literally have the chance to have a baby because that's all he's ever wanted.
Yeah.
Bit weird.
But yeah, this also comes back, but yeah.
It's a bit much, but also it's like a thing in their culture where it's like, making babies is the one thing that I can do, and it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it was a theme in the first book as well. Like there's a breeding. Therefore, it's a very pro-natalist society.
Yeah. Exactly. So they ready the humans to go hunt the Sikosk, and they make sure that no one is left behind. And Georgie and Victal shout out to our
To the OGs!
To the OGs! To the OGs! They have a little cute moment. They're all like nuzzling up on each other, so it makes Rahash really jealous. So he's like, well, it doesn't matter if Liz doesn't like me. She's gonna have to accept me at one point, so fuck it. And he like storms over to her, and he's like, get the fuck up, we're leaving.
Yeah.
And then he realises that she's not actually like ignoring everyone, she's unconscious, she's asleep.
Yeah, which is scary.
And he's like, oh fuck. So he obviously goes into like a proper panic, thinking that she may have died.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously she isn't dead, because that would be a very short book.
The end. Bye guys. Come back next week.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Yeah, she isn't dead, don't worry. And she wakes up against his chest, and she's like, let me go, you fucker. But obviously he does not listen, and he's like too busy like checking her over for any wounds or any like signs that her condition has got worse.
Yeah.
And he notices that some of her toes are all like broken and fucked up, so he's like, oh, I'll have to carry you then, because you can't walk on these.
And also because she's unconscious, she
Oh,
also
yeah.
can't walk. But
She's frail as fuck.
I mean, yeah, but she generally just can't walk. Yeah.
Yeah. So Victal hears Liz protesting, and he explains to her how she's like, she can't be manhandled, like, these human women are fragile and must be wooed. And then he's like,
if that's for consent, so annoying.
No, but what's great about this is, like, literally as he's like, oh, these human women, they're so fragile, they must be wooed, Liz, like, punches Rahash in the face as Vectel is saying this. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh, that's great.
She's like, oh, she's so fragile, she can't be manhandled, and she goes, boom! Straight in the jaw.
No,
like,
that's amazing.
She's not fucking about. So obviously, listening to his chief, he puts her, like, back down, gives her some shoes to wear that are kind of like shitty little shoes, but hey ho. And all her, like, pain and refusal for help is stressing him the fuck out. So he wants to get a queen in her quick, so he can get in her quick.
Oh,
it's gross, but it's true. And also,
it is. Yeah,
it's gross. It's gross and it's true.
Are you really proud of that pun?
Yeah.
You should be.
Thanks. But also he wants to get a queener so she can heal, because that's
one
of the things that it does.
Because otherwise she's gonna die, because like they can't handle like the air there.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So not only would she die of queen sickness, but even if that wasn't affecting her, like, her toes are all fucked up.
Oh,
and
yeah, exactly.
She's exhausted and malnourished.
Starving,
and cold and, like, all these other things that the queen will solve.
Yeah.
So it kind of then jump cuts to when they take down the Sakosk and they're, like, getting the wiggly worms.
Yeah.
The queen.
Yeah, so this, of course, just quick rundown, quick recap, because it's been out a little while. So there's, of course, all these, like, animals that roam the planet.
Liz's description for it was essentially just, like, a fuzzy hairball with long, spindly legs.
Yeah, I think that was it. So it's just, like, big animals. And, like, so the Kui, they have, like, in them as parasites. So when someone needs a Kui, someone needs to hunt down a Sarkosk.
Yeah, because that's where the Kui kind of live.
And harvest some Kui.
Yeah. And it's essentially just, like, these little wiggly worms.
Yeah, just little parasites, kind of.
Yeah, symbiote, I think. But it is a parasite, let's be honest. Is there a difference? Like, is it like parasites only harm the host?
Exactly, and symbiotes give back.
Right, okay,
yeah,
so
exactly.
It's a symbiotic relationship, but they're worms. So Liz is understandably squeamish despite her hunting experience, and also just, like, watching the men take this thing down, like, makes her think of her dad.
Aww.
It's really sad. So her dad's been dead for 5 years, and, like, hunting was, like, one of the main things they did together.
Yeah, it was like the daddy-daughter thing.
Yeah, so she's missing her papa. And she is obviously not up for getting her worm in her when she realises exactly what a Kui is.
How that works.
Because, you know, from her hunting experience, she knows that worm-infested meat is a big no-no.
Yeah, you don't want to put that in your body usually.
She's like, you don't eat the worm meat, and I becoming the worm meat. And I was like, mood. Yeah. So, obviously, everyone's quite distracted at this point, because a lot of the men are, like, fawning over the unclaimed, I'm using an analyst term, females, and, like, so she kind of, like, sneaks off. It's quite impressive. And she's trying to get away through the trees and moving away from the group, and obviously her foot is fucking hurting, but she is determined to find another way to survive, because I don't want a wiggly worm.
Yeah, which is understandable.
It's gross. Obviously she doesn't make it far. And then Rahash appears and he's like, whoop! He just, like, scoops her up. But true to what Vectel told him, he does listen when she says, no, like, put me down, stop it.
Yeah.
He does, and he, like, kind of puts her back and he motions for her to, like, okay, wait here.
Yeah.
So Liz sits down in the snow, and, like, the exhaustion's clearly getting to her at this point.
I mean, unless, of course it is.
Yeah. She knows that she isn't thinking clearly.
Yeah.
But also, like, she knows that she'll have to take a Kui, but also, like, she's too desperate. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
she's gonna fucking die otherwise. And she understands
she knows that, but also, like, it's far too frightening for her to think rationally. And then Rahash appears, and this is a really uncomfortable scene. So he, like, forces her down in the snow, and she tries to fight him off, but he manages to, like, push her onto her back and, like, cut her and let the worm go in her wound.
Doesn't he, like, cut her, like, on her neck or something? And it's just, like, wiggles to it.
That's when it goes,
it's really gross.
So she says, like, I'll hate you forever if you do this. It's a really uncomfortable, like, slightly rape vibe scene. Obviously, just in general, it's, like, it's an abuse of like, no one's listening to her. It's an abuse of consent. Obviously, they're doing it for her own good, but also, the way it's handled is...
It's uncomfortable.
Scary. So also she can feel it wriggling in her skin. Gross.
Oh yeah, the way it's described, like it's, oh my god, no, hard no.
That's like one of my biggest fears, is like having like an animal under my skin.
Yeah.
When I had that tick, I like cried for days when I realised I had one.
Exactly. And that can happen as well. Like that you get like a proper like a fly like on torso.
Yes,
that's what they're called. Yeah.
I'm aware.
Sorry.
That's why I'm scared of it.
Yeah. But it's only really a tropical thing. You don't really get those in.
Yeah, no, I'll stay here.
Yeah. I'll stay in the cold. Thank you.
I'll stay in the cold where there's not massive hornets and all these other things. Yeah. So obviously, just from the stress of it all, and obviously from like the Queen taking over, she passes out. So Rahash feels really bad that he's had to do this. He's had to go against her wishes, but he kind of thinks like, well, my parents never liked each other, and they were still family. So if she hates me forever, we'll make it work. Kind of
such a healthy approach to him.
It's like, oh, you're traumatized.
Yeah.
Oh, baby boy.
You need some ice planet therapy.
Oh, so sad. Yeah, he's like, I'm doing this to save you. You'll forgive me one day, and if you don't,
tough titties.
Tough titties.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'll live with this. So he thinks about exactly what he's done now, and he's like, oh fuck, she's gonna wake up and like tell everyone that like I did this and like forced her to take it, and she's gonna be really mad, and everyone's gonna turn against me and get all pissy. So he's like, do you know what I'll do? I don't want to get in deep shit with Vectal. So he just like scoops her up and just like walks off while everyone's distracted.
He's just fucking
He's just like,
her.
let me just leave.
He's just fucking abducts her, like that's a solution.
He proper kidnaps this woman.
Oh my god.
So everyone's too distracted with like the humans and obviously collecting the meat from the Sikosk. So he just fucking
he just
Looney Tunes his way out of it. And he decides like, okay, I'm not gonna bring her back until she's pregnant, so they won't be able to take her away from me.
Yeah, which is so many layers of...
There's so many layers of fucked up.
Yeah, there really is.
Many layers of fucked up in this.
Yeah.
But there's also like not a reason, but like it comes out later that this is a situation that he's been in before, shall we say?
Yeah.
Yep, and he brings her to a cave that only he knows about. So it is a proper kidnapping.
Yeah, full on, like, oh yeah.
Yeah. So, they make it the whole way there. Liz is still asleep, but she's already looking better. Rahash makes a fire, and he gets all horny, thinking about how he's got this woman in his bed for the first time, because he's never had that.
Once again, oh my god, just saying, so now we've got like most of the exposition out of the way. He's horny literally throughout the entire rest of the
There is never a point. Just assume that at all points he's willing to fuck.
Yeah.
Like ready.
Literally at all points.
Hard, ready to go, you know? But obviously we can't have a rape scene right at the beginning of a book.
Exactly.
So he is actually, although horny the entire book, he is incredibly respectful of boundaries and consent in a way.
Mostly, yeah.
He's like, yes, he kidnaps her, but when she says don't touch me, he doesn't touch her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but in most of the time.
Most of the time, and then it gets a little bit confused.
Yeah, exactly.
If you remember.
Yeah. Anyway, we get to it.
We are hinting too much. We'll get to it.
Get to it.
Yeah. So he is like, as much as I would like to have sex with her, she is in pain and she is asleep. I'm not going near her.
Yeah.
He gives her a little. He does like give her a little foot massage because he knows that her feet are sore. And he kind of checks out her broken toes and he resets them while she's asleep. Are you thinking of fucking Suskus from Scream?
No, I actually wasn't. I was gonna make a Quentin Tarantino joke.
Oh god. Fuck. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Do you remember that scene?
Yeah, I remember that scene.
We recently binge watched the MTV Scream series and we are obsessed at the fact that there's a season 3 coming out.
Yes.
We are like, oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh. And also, have you seen Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
So in the beginning it's like, I don't know, man, giving another somebody else's wife a foot massage, but it's just a foot massage. Yeah, but it's a foot massage. yeah, just...
Tarantino has a thing for feet.
Oh
right?
yeah, that's
Like,
well established.
Oh, God.
Absolutely, yeah.
Jesus. Okay, well, he doesn't, luckily.
That's which is decent, yeah.
He's looking at her, like, her toesies that are all broken, and he resets them for her because he knows that, like,
need to heal,
she's passed out. This won't hurt as much while
Yeah.
she's asleep, or she won't feel it. So the fact that he has caused her pain, though, makes him, like, literally have to run outside and vomit. Like, literally
yeah,
vomit.
that's true. That's pretty.
And he's really confused by that because he's like, I've reset toes before.
Yeah.
So it's not the action. Like,
Yeah.
it is the fact that he had to cause her pain.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of nice.
Kind of.
Still kidnapping. Cool motive, still
The murder.
Cool motive, still murder. He convinces himself that she would also be thankful if she was clean when she woke up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It's not such a huge leap, but he does also just want to, like,
Look at her. Yeah.
look at her and touch
yeah.
her. But not in like a how do I phrase this? In a sexual way, but not in like a grope way. In like a way where he's just like, I've never seen a naked woman before.
Yeah.
But also it's uncomfortable because
Yeah, because I mean, yeah.
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 There's ulterior motives behind his
Absolutely.
kindness.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, so yep, he strips her down, he melts some snow for water, and he is puzzled by her tiny loincloth. Which I'm picturing is just like a thong.
No, I think it's just like
Is it just pants?
even just like regular knickers are gonna be like because they only have like it's just pretty funny.
Jesus, and this is again flashing back to the motifs that we talked about so much in book one.
Mm-hmm.
She must be just covered in shit, right?
Yeah, no, right? Oh god, yeah. I
Just
have repressed that already.
Stewing
Yeah.
in poop. Those pants, not
Nope.
pretty.
Nah.
Not pretty.
Nah. I'm so glad they don't get described much further because like
I'm glad too.
yeah.
I feel like we had too much of it, but go on.
Yeah.
So he uses some of those soap berry things to clean her off, and also, you know, to feel her skin, because he's like, holy shit, she's like so soft. Oh my god. Yep. He gets hard,
Of course he does.
shockingly, but she's in pain, dirty, and she doesn't like him. So he's like, ignore, shut up.
Yeah, also she must be smelling like shit still. Like
Oh,
he's currently
yeah.
cleaning her off, but like see like it's like maybe he's like taking off her clothes and like it really comes out, you know.
Oh, totally. Like, and it's not
It
just
must be
like
so bad.
he like has an he's not just like, oh, I'll just clean her boobies. Like, he cleans her whole
Oh
body.
yeah, no, he cleans her own
and
body.
washes her and
Yeah.
washes and brushes her hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he is
Oh,
dedicated
yeah, no, he does.
to what he's
Yeah.
doing. You know.
He is.
And again, he looks at like the differences between the two of them, the fact that she's so small, so soft. He's just like amazed by this, and he call back to book one. Vectel has like this big conversation with his lads where he's like, and they have a third nipple, and Rash is like horrified by this. So he goes searching for the third nipple. He does find it. He is very confused.
Twilight's the clitoris.
It's the clitoris.
It's the
Yeah,
clitoris,
he's like,
yeah.
what the fuck is that? And he's like, I'm gonna leave that alone. And just while he's like doing all this, he's thinking about how she will be his like first everything.
Yeah.
And he's
exactly.
like, this is my first lover, my first like mate, my
Yeah.
first wife, the mother of my child, like future child. Oh my god, future children. So he's like quite enamoured by her already, even
Yeah.
though the two don't get on. And he notices like her quee is like responding to his touch.
Yeah.
So he knows that like
it's working and she's healing and everything.
it's
yeah.
not a one-sided quee bond thing.
Yeah, exactly. No, the quees they
Yeah.
bond up together. Yeah.
Interesting. So he redresses her in spare clothing, and he tries to eat, but he can't really settle while she's there and clearly in pain.
He's worried.
Yeah. So he just goes out to hunt because
Yeah.
he's like, she'll be fine, but I
Yeah.
can't settle, so
Yeah.
I might as well do something productive. So Liz wakes up pretty much with like hangover symptoms.
Yeah.
Like proper groggy, like stiff.
Yeah, just like overall feeling a bit shit.
She's just like,
yeah.
and she's shocked by how clean nice she smells, because she'd kind of got like used to her just being like stinky.
Yeah.
So she's like, what the fuck? And then she's like in new clothes, and she's like, oh fuck, like someone cleaned
Was someone
and
washed you,
redressed me. Yeah.
Everywhere, yeah.
Speak of the devil, Rahash appears, and he's like, boom, and he just like throws this like bloodied animal at her feet. It's quite funny because he's just like yeet. Yep, and she instantly, like, in seeing his face, remembers like everything.
Yeah.
She's like, oh fuck. And she's shocked by how like her wound that he made for the queen is like completely healed already. Like it's there's not even like a scar or nothing. So she's like, what the fuck? She tries to like claw at her skin because she knows what it is. She does not want this queen in her, and he obviously is like, what the fuck? Calm down. And he gives it, like, he grabs her hands, and she begins to resonate for him with his touch. And then she just like flips her shit and starts like smacking him and like yelling at him for like, you know, everything.
Yeah.
And he pins her down. This is weird. He like hog ties her.
Oh yeah.
Because she just keeps like trying to beat the shit out of him. And he's like, I can't be dealing with I can't be fucked with this. Sit in the corner.
Think about what you've done.
Literally. And then he just like ignores her and begins to like cut up the small animal, the kill, and cook it for her because he knows that humans like it cooked. And she kind of clicks on to exactly what resonating for Rahash means.
Yep.
And she's like, fuck, I am stuck with this guy.
Yeah.
Like, because he's not gonna let this go. And she really wishes that this had happened with someone who was nicer to her, who treats her well.
Who doesn't kidnap her.
Who doesn't kidnap her, not this grumpy shit who hog ties her.
Yeah.
You know, but she also is looking at the positives. At least she's warm, comfy, she's being taken care of to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And she kind of like verbally gives herself a little pep talk, which Rahash can hear but chooses not to respond to. So his silence makes her think he doesn't understand English.
Yeah, this is a theme for quite a while.
So once again she's like, oh, of course I'm stuck with the one guy who's too bigoted to like learn English. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, she's pissed. So she tries to like put on the charm to like get free. She's like being really sassy, but she's doing that thing like, you know, when you talk to an animal but you're calling them a piece of shit. You're like, oh, come here, you little fucker.
Yeah,
like,
but
you know,
she's pretending to be. Yeah.
She's being sassy, but she's using a nice tone to try and trick him. But obviously, like, he can understand her. So
yeah, so he's like, nah.
So while this is uncomfortable, she's like struggling to get out of the hog tie, and while doing that, like, her nipples rub against the furs.
Oh god, I remember that.
And she gets like all horny from the friction. She starts to like like her quee starts to resonate, and she's like, stupid cootie, because she calls it a cootie.
She calls it a cootie the entire time, which is pretty fun.
It is very fun. Even when she learns what it's really called, always it's a cootie. It's a cootie.
It's a cootie.
She got cooties. And Rahash hand feeds her while she's hog-tied, and eventually she just falls asleep because you know, she's exhausted.
Yeah,
so.
it's been a lot.
When she wakes up, she's untied and alone, and she kind of realizes, like, oh fuck, like, no one else is here.
Yeah.
This isn't their big cave. Like, this is just me and him.
Yeah.
Fuck.
She's stuck.
I'm not just, like, in his room. Like, I have been kidnapped.
Yeah.
You know? And she thinks about escaping, but also she knows that he is her best chance to survive, because, yeah, she's got the quee, but, like, she has no idea where she is. She, like, literally knows nothing about the planet, how she would even get back to the main cave. Like,
it's just like a fucking ice desert out there. Like,
totally.
if she tries to escape like that, like, she's not gonna get very far.
She would just die of exposure very quickly.
Very quickly.
And also, every time she thinks of Rahash, she starts to get all hot and bothered. So maybe it won't be so bad, you know, if she's stuck with him for a little while. I guess. So, unable to control how horny she is, she begins to masturbate.
Yep.
And she moans his name, because obviously she's thinking about him. So she goes, Rahash. And then instantly his head like appears and he's like, yes.
You've called.
Yeah, literally. And she's like, oh fuck, I've been caught. Because obviously it's very clear what she's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's chapter 1.
Well, chapter 2 picks up right there, but so we're back to Rahash's perspective. Who's just like, he's all happy out hunting, and he comes back to the cave, and sees Liz wanking and moaning his name, and he's like, fuck yeah, well this is a good development. Obviously his cock surges and all.
I hate that wording.
I know,
Surge?
but he says it all the time. I can feel my cock surge.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah. Yeah, so he thinks like that means that she wants to fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
You know, it's honestly not that...
Which is not that unreasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, but like so Liz is still not down to clown. But she also can't stop masturbating, so she's like, no, stay away from me, but then also like I like pushes him away, but with her other hand she keeps like flicking the bean.
Yeah, she's like uncontrollably masturbating.
Yeah, exactly. She literally cannot stop.
She's never been that horny in her entire life.
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah. And then so we get some like the slightly like rapey vibes from Rahash, so he gets really angry that like she's not letting him fuck her.
Yeah, because he's like, what the fuck are you
Yeah,
doing?
exactly. I mean, to be fair, his feet you can also kind of see, but he gets like, oh, you're my mate, I should be allowed,
Yeah.
And plus, he talks so much about like, oh yeah, I would just claim her, but Vector is explaining that like for these human women you have to get consent. So lame. You know what I mean? Like that's a bit. But anyway, so he gets really angry, and so his plan of action is. Because he's like, well, if I have to watch her masturbate and I can't touch her, she has to do the same. So he just fucking whips out his cock in retaliation.
He's like, well then, you can play this game,
Yeah,
Missy.
exactly.
And then just like...
And oh my god, and he's like,
that's
exactly. So he's explained that he's got the biggest of the tribe. Like he's seen the other guys while they bathe and shit. And like, he's got the biggest dick in town. So yeah, he starts spanking too. And Liz is just like,
oh, fuck.
2 dots and the O. Like, what? That's a big ass cock.
Shocked Pikachu face.
Shocked Pikachu face, yeah. And it's really, I don't know, like, it's a interesting dynamic here. So he, like, tells her to watch. Oh, actually, I just realized this. So he tells her to watch him. But because, like, then later, it's a whole thing that obviously he pretends he doesn't speak English, but, like, and then later, like, they confront it. But he says there, watch me, and she's like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm gonna watch you. Like, she should have known then that he speaks English, you know?
Oh, I always thought he says it in Tchaikovsky. And she just, like, gets it from...
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was...
Gets it from inference.
Oh, right, okay.
Like, as in, like, you know...
Yeah, no,
you know, like,
yeah,
she,
I know
she
what you mean.
clicks
I know what you
on
mean.
to what they're...
I know what you mean.
But, but you know, I'm not saying you're wrong.
Honestly, I might be. But anyway, so she does, and the Quee's going wild for both of them.
It just sounds like the fucking washing machine that is on at Tumble at a 1400 spin, baby girl.
Exactly. It's going zzz. That was great.
Thanks. We got a new washing machine, by the way. If anyone was keeping up with our washing machine Discord.
And it was invested, and it's still loud as fuck, but it's a different kind of loud. So
it's a different kind of loud. It's only loud in the last half hour, and also it cleans so well.
It's actually clean stuff, so that's cool. Yeah, so it's really funny. So Liz comes.
Oh god.
And Rahat remembers that like Vector was saying to him that humans have different mating rituals, and he's like, oh, perhaps this is one of the humans' mating rituals, that you just masturbate in front of each other first. You know?
Like this is like a is like a show and tell.
Exactly, and he's just kind of it's just kind of sweet I find, because like how would he know?
Because not only has he never had sex. He's never had sex. Like,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
not like he's never fucked a human. He has never had sex in his life.
In any
so
general.
He's just like, I guess.
Yeah.
This is okay.
I guess this is how it works.
This is what we're doing.
Also very funny, he had forgotten her name. But he like finally remembers during that, and then like he like kind of like moans her name while he comes. It's just like, wow. And so we're back to Liz's perspective, and she's like, okay, that was kind of embarrassing, but also really hot. Yeah.
Oh dear.
And so also like his cum is all over the floor. It just goes. And she's like, well, he can clean it up himself. I'm not doing that.
Good for you.
Good for you, babe, I guess. And so he kind of wants to, you know, like, he kind of approaches her, and she's like, don't touch me! And he comes over anyway, and, like, takes, like, just, like, licks the juice from her hands.
The wetness.
The slick.
Don't say slick. We are not reading an Omegaverse book. If you ever say slick again, I'm gonna get so mad at you. How fucking dare you?
I knew you were gonna say that, and that's why I said it, because I fucking hate that word.
I feel like we need to find an Omegaverse book at some point.
I mean, I guess, if it makes you happy.
Can I do a 20-minute rant off camera about the... Oh, didn't I do that once? I explained the ABO dynamics to you, and you were just sitting there like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. No, we've done that.
We've been there, we've done that.
Anyway, so like, she's like, oh, you're a kinky bastard. And it freaks her out a bit, but it's also kind of hot. This is like, I mean, this is a bit kinkier than the previous one. It's like, I mean, you know,
it
fair
is.
enough. Fair, yeah. And yeah, I mean, obviously his dick is hard again already, and she just kind of, so it's a bit, because he's a bit closer now, obviously, so she like looks at it like a bit more up close, and she's kind of intrigued, like she notices like the ridges and like the weird horn, like what we've already like had in the first book as well. So like, yeah, so there's a little horn at the top of it. It's like a rabbit vibrator, basically. Yeah, so she like just like grabs the blankets from under him and gets cozy, and she's really cranky. It's really funny because like she's obviously the queen's still going crazy like for him. Because like she's at the wank, but like she's still really, you know, really horny, and she's just like, fuck, this is kind of worse. Like she wants to sleep, but she also wants to fuck. Yeah, anyway, so it's sleepy time. She wakes up to pee at some point, and Rahash is cuddled up against her, and she's like, fuck's sake, well, okay, as long as, you know, he's just sleeping. So she goes out to pee, and Rahash fucking like wakes up and like follows her.
Yeah, because he's like, oh fuck, she's
like, where is she going? Yeah, and she's just like, do chill, I'm not going anywhere unless there's a Starbucks around the corner.
Mood.
Because I can't go anywhere. But she also realizes though that like, hey, she's not cold as fuck for the first time in ages. Like the cootie isn't all that bad, even though she's, you know, like outside. She's like, wow, that's not that bad. But yeah, so like she needs shoes, she needs, you know, like some pants, because she's wearing this like long leather skirt, which is like really awkward.
Like a tunic kind of situation?
No, I think she's wearing like a kind of top thing, but it's like a skirt, like so it's a leather skirt she's wearing, like she, you know, and she obviously doesn't have undies either, like she wants some knickers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And she doesn't have shoes, and like she, you know, she needs to like sort her hair out, because I think it's just like, she's just long hair, she usually braids it or whatever. And she wants a coffee, like this all won't do. This won't do. It's really funny. No. And she says to him, as a direct quote, if you plan on keeping me captive, I'm gonna be the most bitch-ass demanding captive you've ever dealt with, so just be ready, barbarian dickhead.
I kind of love that.
I really like Liz.
She's like, you've kidnapped me, now I'm your problem.
Yeah, exactly. I will make myself a problem.
Time to cause problems on purpose.
Exactly. And Rahash obviously still pretends he doesn't understand her, so he doesn't answer. He just kind of goes and tends to the fire, and Liz watches and notices like how graceful he is and how he's got kind of these cat-like movements, and she's like, that's kind of funny. And also, and she says, hey, how about some yum-yums for my tum-tum whiskers?
She's
good.
So mouthy.
She's so mouthy. That's also funny because so Rahash, even though he's like cranky and shit, like so he can like, you know, also play this game. So he gets like a water skin and like goes out to like brings it to her, and she stretches her hand out to grab it, but he just like does the old like switch and bait, like, you know, so he drinks first. Switcheroo. And then she eventually gives it to him, and like gives a little grin and gives it to her, and yeah, the cootie purrs. The cootie purrs.
It do be purring.
Anyway, so yeah, like he puts the skin back and puts his shoes on, and she's like, oh yeah, nice, are we going hunting? Because like she's, you know, an avid hunter has been established. And yeah, so he still doesn't talk to her, but it's like, yeah, no, he's going hunting, she isn't. And she like runs after him at first because she's like, brah, no, I'm going with you, you know, like we're going together, but like she doesn't have shoes on. And I mean, like, so with the cootie, she's a bit more like adapted to the environment, but she still can't go into the fucking snow barefoot. Like, she's still gonna like, that's not working.
I think like in the first chapter, all they gave her was some like shitty little like kind of sock situation, which will obviously be soaked through it.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, she doesn't have shoes, so like that's not working. Yeah, so she goes back inside because what else can she do? So we're back to Rahash, and he's like, damn, this girl talks a lot, huh?
She is mouthy as fuck.
She is mouthy as fuck.
And it is brought up many times, and I do appreciate that at no point does she stop being mouthy.
Exactly. Yeah, no, which is great. It's also like, oh, see, that's what he means with like the insert shit, because he's like, why did she want to come hunting with me as a woman? The women don't hunt. And yeah, I don't know, it's also this whole thing where he's like, oh yeah, we're not tribe are capable, but they're so precious and delicate that, you know, leave them locked up at home so they don't perish or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, he pities himself a bit more. It's like, no one wants me. Yeah. Just feeling a bit sorry for himself. Yeah, so it's hunty time, and he gets a quill beast, and he comes back, and so when he comes back, Liz is sitting on the furs, again with wet hair again, and no skirt on.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's like, what? Like, these human mating rituals are difficult, like, what the fuck's going on? No, but so what she actually is doing, so she's gone back home, and what she is doing now, she's making the big skirt into leggings or like trousers, and she sprayed her hair on top of her head, kind of like to keep it out of the way. And he's like really impressed with her ingenuity. He's like, oh fuck yeah, you go girl, which is kind of sweet.
She's got agency.
Yeah, exactly, she's got agency. So yeah, she's also like sewing, and so there's like a growl, and he's like, oh my god, no, she's hungry, shit.
I'm not taking care of my baby.
Yeah, I'm not being a good little
house husband.
And yeah, so he remembers, you know, the humans like the food burn, so he makes like a spit out of some wood or whatever, and puts strips of the meat on it, puts it over the fire. And Liz is like, oh, why can't I smell it? Sorry. She was like, why can't I smell it? But it's the cootie, well, the queen, because like that's in the first book as well, that the food they eat is like really like strongly seasoned, and like they usually have it raw because like some of their senses like smell and taste are like
completely dulled.
Yeah, like dulled by it quite a lot, so like she can't smell like the roasting meat. Rahash doesn't really know what's going on. He just like gives her some weed.
He's like, I don't fucking know why you can't smell it.
Yeah. But he does the weird pulling back thing again, so he's going
he's just being a dick.
He's just being a dick, yeah.
And it's great.
It's actually pretty funny. Yeah, so the meat doesn't taste like anything, I guess. Well, like, it doesn't smell, doesn't taste, and she's like, oh shit, I was looking forward to this. Yeah, Rahash gets horny from her licking her lips while eating.
Who knows? But there could be like a spinning wheel of like, why is Rahash horny at this point during the book?
Exactly. Like, it's literally anything. It's like, oh my god, like, yeah. I think like a fart from her would make him horny.
Jesus, don't say that.
I'm not wrong though.
You're not wrong. Don't say it.
Okay. I will never mention it again.
Thank you.
So Liz is like, oh, can I try the raw meat? Because he's eating like the raw meat as they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, of course, but like, he insists on feeding her, like not giving her meat, so she can eat it. No, like he kind of like doesn't give her any, and like makes her like open her mouth, and like he puts it in her mouth. Like
it's a sexual thing.
It's a sexual thing, but it's also it's too infant thing for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's very I don't really like this. Yeah, Liz is like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, oh, I give it. It's just like, here we fucking go. It's just like, for fuck's sake. But like the raw meat is nice, so she asks if she can have more. And it's kind of funny because like she's like, because obviously he like roasted some meat for her, and he's eating the raw, and like she doesn't want the roasted, and she's like, oh shit, can I have the raw meat though? So she like touches his knee a bit.
It's for me.
It's for me. And like he knows he's getting played, but he doesn't care.
Yeah,
because like, of course, baby girl.
Yeah.
It's like, because the entire time, he was thinking like, oh, the humans are so ugly, but like, no, because she'd be like closer, she's like, oh, her face is actually kind of pretty, and so he tries to like touch her face again, and she just doesn't like him randomly touching her, which is very fair. And she's like, okay, my guy, like it's time that we learn to communicate. So she reaches out and touches his chest and says, Rahash, and he tries to touch her chest as well, but like it's right on her titties, obviously, and she's like, nah, man. So this is once again, like, because she knows what she's saying, and she kind of, like, repeatedly says no, and, like, he keeps trying to touch her, and he thinks for some reason that means she's horny, but, like, she keeps pushing him back, like... and then eventually she's like, no means no, dick face, and slaps him, which is fucking amazing. See, that's what I mean, right? Because... yeah, he respects her mostly, like...
when he's not confused about
exactly.
it, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, because so what she does, because she goes like, nope, and he thinks it's like a courting word, but she's also actively pushing him away, so it's like, my guy. Yeah, so we're back to Liz's perspective.
But for me, it would be like, the thing with like the water skin, where they're like teasing each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's a different thing than physically touching somebody.
Oh, it totally is.
So, yeah.
And I'm on the same page
Yeah,
with you.
exactly.
It's just, I can see why this happens.
Sort of. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So, which she also thinks. So, we're back to Liz's perspective, and she's thinking like, oh well, watching him wank was totally not super fucking hot. Like, she keeps trying to convince herself she's
definitely wasn't very attractive.
Yeah, she's not horny as fuck for Raj. And yeah, she forgives him for grabbing her boob, because she was like, okay, I touched his chest, he just went to reach for the same spot, like, was my boobs, like, it's kind of my mistake.
Yeah.
And she gets horny.
You know.
But also she's like, yeah, this is not a sustainable situation, like, being trapped in this cave with this dude, you know. And she kind of, like, you know, thinks like, okay, so I've got, you know, so there's food, there's, like, a water skin, like, she's got most of the supplies she would need to leave, but, like, she's missing shoes and weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So her plan is, like, make some shoes and make a bow, because, like, she knows how to hunt with a bow and arrow, and GTFO. Yeah, so just kind of, like, mulling over that. Back to Rahash. He's just wondering why she's so quiet, because usually she's mouthy as fuck. As established.
He's like, something's going on in my little brain.
Exactly. So this is a bit condensed, so, you know, he goes to hunt again, he goes back, she's still really quiet, and she doesn't complain about being, like, fed the food, and it's a bit weird that he still insists on doing that, in my opinion, but whatever. Yeah. And he's like, okay, can we fuck now? Now you're not actively resisting anymore?
He's like, something's changed.
Yeah. But
coochie?
yeah.
No coochie.
No coochie. No coochie. No, but just napping. You know, just naps. And then so in early morning, and Liz is leaving really quietly. So the last time she woke up at night to pee, she just kind of, you know, get up and left. But, like, this time, she's, like...
she's been purposely quiet.
Oh, yeah, exactly. She's really trying to, like, not wake him up. He's awake, but he pretends to still be asleep, so he can kind of, like, watch what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so she puts his boots on, which for some reason really turns him on. Which is, like, such a random thing. Once again, the wheel has spun. Putting shoes on! Like, it makes no sense.
Why not?
Why not? And yeah, so she leaves and he follows her like a safe distance. The snow is steep and she just kind of like goes and she heads for the woods and and he's like, what the fuck's she up to? Liz is thinking to herself in the meantime, right, okay, we gotta go fast, you know, like, don't want to wake up and, like, you know, see I'm gone, so, and she's thinking, which makes sense, like, oh, there's some woods, like, surely there's something there I could make a bow out of, like, you know, bark or whatever. And there's some weird ass trees that are like, look more like eyelashes, like they're kind of like soft. So like she's like, okay, those are some weird trees, but they'll do. So she tries the first one, but like the bark from like she tries to like, carve off of it is like not usable. Like it's really soft and squishy.
To bend it, yeah.
It's like it's really squishy and like kind of like spongy almost. Like it's not. It's not. It's not.
Do a bow.
You can't make a bow out of it.
No.
And she's just like, well, okay, I just gotta.
You can't make that tension. That you need.
Nah, exactly. She's like, well, okay, I guess I gotta keep looking. Yeah, and also because the cootie is handy for like not freezing to death, but also she's really pissed off about not being able to smell, and also that she got matched with a big dick. So he's a dick, but he's also got a big dick, you know. Yeah, so she's just a bit annoyed about all these aspects. But
thinking about her situation.
Exactly. But then she sees, ooh, what's that? There's a stream and there's some long kind of like bamboo looking things poking out of it.
Throwback to book one.
Go back to book one, my guy, and you will know that this is not good. So she goes, you know, down to the bank of that stream and is just about to lean over and grab one of these things when Rahash screams her name. And it's a fucking sea monster attacking her. So like it's like their horns and they live under the surface. That's
it's like their nose, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's just like poking out. So when she screams her name and she kind of like tries to grab it, like it comes out and like starts attacking her. Obviously,
I've always pictured it like a swordfish with legs.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like this like terrifying like, water creature.
Yeah.
So Rahash saves her, obviously.
Be a short book.
Exactly.
And she's dead.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. Yeah, he saves her, obviously, and he's pissed off, but like she tries to explain she was just getting supplies, and she's also turned on by him being pissed off a bit, like
he's so sexy when he's mad.
Yeah, exactly, and so he picks her up, and she just can't take it anymore and kisses him.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like whatever, and like quote, it's clear the guy doesn't know how to kiss because like they don't really kiss in the culture, and also and also he's like a gold star virgin, like he's never done anything, you know, so like he doesn't know, but she teaches him, and he's a fast learner. All right.
He's like, I can be done with this.
Yeah, exactly. She's like enjoys this as well, and like he's also got these like nice bumps on his tongue, and like he's learning, so it's like ooh. So there's like some angry and horny making out mutually.
It's very much a hate fuck.
Yeah, very much, because she's just like, oh, I don't want you touching my boobs, and then grabs his hand and puts it on her boob, like, you know, like she's, yeah, exactly, and it's like, oh, and I don't want you to, you know, like, touch my pussy, and then, like,
it's fucking opposite day with this bitch.
Yeah, it's fucking, it's fucking opposite day with this bitch.
It's like a really weird game of Simon Says.
It's a really... You know? Yes.
You know?
And then, I've been waiting for it. His fingers trace over my sensitive folds. Fuck off, there it is.
You gotta have one mention of folds.
Yeah, there's so many. Like, there's a lot more after this. So, so they have to, like, so they make out, and so her shitty little homemade trousers rip. Oh yeah, so it's just like, this is just like in the snow. Like, so he saves her, and then, like, you know, he picks her up, and then, like, just kind of, like, tumble in the snow. Like, which doesn't seem very comfortable, but whatever.
Yeah, it is proper violent sex. Or
but also
the beginning of violent sex.
Oh yeah, exactly, but also it's in the snow, you know.
Oh yeah,
it's
like, cold as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. This just doesn't seem very comfortable, and they would be wet and stuff. But yeah, so he eats her wet ass P-word. Do you know the bunch of P-word? Yeah. And yeah, so she comes twice. When he like nuzzles her clit, and she uses a sword like a steering wheel on her pussy.
She's like,
yeah, but she comes twice.
Get in there. The whole time she's going, no, I don't want you to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally while, you know, like actively pushing her clit like into his mouth. Like, yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. It's an interesting dynamic for sure. And so he says like, mine. And at first she's like, oh fuck yeah, I'm yours. And then she's like, did you just speak English? Did you speak English the entire fucking time?
Yeah. He's been caught.
He's been caught.
Yeah, so Rahash is like ready to dive back on in there, but Liz has realised that this entire time he could understand her, so she is pissed off. So he is like desperate to keep going, but she is like, nope, and she tries to punch him, but like only hurts herself in doing so, which distracts him enough for like the sex to stop, essentially. And she's like, why didn't you tell me you could speak English this whole time, you fucking prick? And then he's like, well, why didn't you never asked, you just assumed that I couldn't, which is like not very fair, because it's like, yeah, but what? Yeah,
exactly. Like, well, because like, she like actively asking questions and shit, you know, like just speak to this lady,
exactly.
You know?
So like the first time that she kind of like was like having like a fucking rant to herself, he just like didn't say anything, and then she verbally said like, oh, I guess you couldn't speak English then, you fucking prick, and then he's just like been like, fuck you, and been silent the entire time. But also it's like, no, come on.
And also, like, you want this woman to be, like, your wife, basically. So, like,
halfway.
maybe talk to her. Like, that would be a start, usually.
Totally. I'm not defending him at all. It was just, like, they have a proper, like, bicker with each other for a bit. And so she calls him a dick, and he's like, I don't understand this word. And she's like, it's, like, getting really, really annoyed. And he brings up the point that, the longer that they resist each other, because she's like, no, I'm not fucking you now, I'm so mad at you. He's like, well, the longer we resist each other, the worse, like, this is going to get, like,
Yeah.
the more horny we're going to get. So also he's like, so stop trying to run away, because that's not going to solve it. And she's like, I wasn't running away, I was getting stuff for a bow. And he's like, what the fuck is a bow? So she kind of explains that it's a weapon, it's like a long range weapon that you use to hunt.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, well, actually, women in my tribe don't hunt because they used to, and then a lot of them died because that hunting is so dangerous here, and in order to keep the tribe going, we need women.
Yeah.
So women were, like, not banned, but it was common practice that women would stay at home instead. So it's like, what? Fair enough.
Because you mentioned the brutal before. And it's
Yeah.
Like,
So that's why he's so kind of against her hunting, because he doesn't want her to be in harm's way, which is understandable. But also, here's the thing, he doesn't actually share this info with Liz. It's just like him mentally, like, having this conversation with himself.
Yeah, just like tells her, no, you can't hunt, with like no explanation.
Literally, he gives her no explanation because he knows that she won't like the answer anyway.
Yeah.
So she's just like,
but also, like,
it.
that's, that's not a good way to go about
No,
it.
it's not.
It's really not.
It's really
not.
poor communication
It's really
skills.
Not. Yeah.
So he's like, fine, let's go home then. And he leads her back to the cave, and she's pantless, which obviously makes him fantasize about what they could have gotten up to.
Of course.
And Liz knows exactly what he's thinking about, which makes her even more pissed off. She's like, how could you even be thinking about that right now? Fuck you. So she correctly guesses his plan of hiding her away until she's pregnant, and she's annoyed at the lack of choices that she has.
Which is understandable.
Yeah, completely.
Pretty
it feels like she's just going to be kept here until she eventually gives in, which...
It's like a baby slave, yeah.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's not good now.
It's not great. And she's feeling really defeated, and so she just, like, goes silent, which is obviously not a Liz thing.
Nah.
She's always talking, and she, like, sits and sews her shitty little trousers back together, whilst Rahash skins their kill, a more recent kill, and kind of gives her the bamboo from earlier. Mm-hmm. So they managed to kill that thing.
What a creature.
So he's like, okay, right, you can have the snout thing, and I'll sit and cut it up for us. And he then goes to go bait the traps, kind of leaving her to think.
Yeah.
So although she is annoyed at him, Liz thinks about their tussle in the snow and gets very hot and bothered.
No, of course.
And then that just makes her even more frustrated at her situation, because it's like, she's like, I'm not actually feeling this, it's the Quee that's making me feel, and it's like,
she doesn't have a choice. Yeah, which is honest. Yeah.
Exactly. So she also kind of takes, like, the time apart from each other, lets her kind of cool off, and she thinks back about everything she knows, and she's like, look, Rahash is just as trapped as me.
I mean, yeah.
He probably also isn't as pleased as, like, I am. Like, he also would have preferred someone who's going to instantly love him.
Yeah.
And I am not that person.
Yeah.
And for what he's doing, at least he is, like, not forcing me into anything.
Yeah, I mean, he only kidnapped me, but he didn't rape me.
No,
so
that's literally what she's like.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, okay, I don't know why he's taking me away, but he has. But it's clearly not to, like, force me into anything, because he's being pretty respectful when I say, no, fuck off. Like, clearly mad, no, fuck off.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. She just, like, misses her home and her dad, and she's thinking about, like, because obviously she's been thinking about hunting, she's thinking about her dad. Yeah. And her dad used to always say, you can catch more flies with honey than vinegar, and all she's been giving Rahash is vinegar. Like,
I mean, yeah, that's true.
She's not even attempted to, like, genuinely be nice to him, because when she was just like...
Oh yeah, she was just playing him.
She was just playing him. So she's like, okay, do you know what? I'm going to give it a go, just to see if, like, we can at least be adults about this, and at least, like, not spend all day just fighting each other.
Exactly.
And then hate fucking. So, to kind of apologise in a way for, like, obviously giving him a fright, because he thought she was trying to fuck off. She spruces up the cave, and she spruces up herself, you know, gets her trousers all mended, and then she sits and works on her bow. And when Rahash comes back, she welcomes him, and he has like some kills with him, and it's so funny when she like welcomes him, and he's like,
Beach what?
Suspicious.
It's a trap!
Liz is acting sus. And he's like, why is she being so nice? What does she want? Like, you know.
Like, this is a trap, yeah.
He is understandably confused and suspicious, but she kind of sits him down and she goes, look, I'm trying to make amends. Let's call a truce.
Yeah.
If we're going to be stuck here, we might as well try and be nice to each other. You've got to meet me halfway. I'll stop being so sharp with you if you actually talk to me.
Yeah.
So she tries to kind of chat with him, and at first he's really stoic as ever, like it's really short and clipped answers, and they start talking about the planet, and then he explains that what they're living through right now is considered the warm season, like their summer.
Oh yeah.
And she is like, oh
like, beach what? Yeah.
And this like kind of makes him laugh, like at how like stunned she is.
Oh, she has no clue, because there is still snow outside 24/7.
Oh
like,
yeah, like, it is a cold planet.
Yeah.
It would be like living in like Antarctica. Like,
it is called Ice Planet Barbarians for nothing.
The key's in the title. So it's only going to get like colder and harsher from now on.
Yeah.
So now is the time to do all the hunting. So he kind of explains like, oh, would be the time where everyone goes out and they do all the hunting, and then in the cold months you can't really find any game because everything's burrowed away. So that's where we also burrow away. So yeah, fair enough. Bit of context on the planet. So the two eat, and he is pleased that he can take care of her. And like what happened earlier, he begins to like hand feed her again because he likes the feeling of her tongue, her lips and her tongue on his hands.
Yeah, it turns him on because he thinks about his dick.
Yes, and Liz also likes it this time.
I mean, oh, does she?
Yeah, so she is quite, especially after their very recent tussle. She's kind of left quite sexually frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a bit of sexual tension growing, but also like they're becoming a bit more comfortable with each other. Yeah. Like it turns out being nice to each other kind of fucking works.
It's actually kind of a bit better than just being
Oh yeah, totally. And honestly, I'm not trying to say that Liz is wrong, because I would be like that if I got kidnapped. I'd be just a prick.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I would be a dick the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah.
I wouldn't be nice. Nah. I'd be like, no, you're taking me back.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then she asks about like, oh, like what about the tribe? Like, can I know about them? And he kind of closes up again, and he's like, why do you want to know? Like, why do you want to know about these people? Maybe thinking that she's gonna like run off and she needs to know what names are and shit.
Yeah.
But she's like, no, like if I'm going to join, I need to know like who's cool, who's not cool.
Yeah, there's also general info, like learning like what his background is and everything.
Yeah, so she kind of asks like, have you got any family that I should like know about? And it turns out all his family are dead.
Rip.
Which is quite upsetting, and his only friend is Vectal. So presumably he did have other friends, but they lost them on like a really bad hunt.
Aww.
So it's kind of fucked up.
I mean, that's pretty sad, yeah.
It's pretty sad. And speaking of hunting, Rahash kind of goes into more detail. He's thinking like, even though it's the warm season, I don't think anyone will actually be out hunting right now because they all have like new women to fawn over. So they won't want to leave the cave.
Okay.
They're like too distracted.
I get you.
And it's like a really dangerous thing, as we've seen with all the fucking animals, and it's really risky. So even though their numbers have significantly increased, it will be unlikely that they'll introduce the rule that women can also go hunting. Yeah, like it'll probably just say that just the men do it, because also a lot of the women will get pregnant. And then they don't want to be, and they do not want to be risking those babies.
Yeah, absolutely, because they need the babies, otherwise like they're gonna like
go extinct.
Yeah.
So Rahash has always been a hunter, it turns out, as no one cares for him, so he has no one to come back to. Yeah, so it doesn't. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And hunts can last for months and months on end. Yeah. So he'll go out and then essentially bring back everything he's got, and then just leave again. Like no one really kind of
interacts with him ever. Yeah.
Well, that's it, and that he can't stand to be around the happy couples because he thought that it would never be for him because everyone thinks he's really ugly because of all his scars and stuff. It's quite upsetting. This is why his like people skills are so bad. He's not used to socialising.
Yeah, he just doesn't socialise at all, yeah.
So kind of talking about all this, he gets bitter thinking about how he still doesn't actually have a mate because Liz doesn't want him.
Yeah.
And their conversation turns really sour because obviously he's starting to get annoyed thinking about it, and then when he bites, Liz just bites right back.
I mean, yeah, of course, because like she's like made a step forward, you know
totally,
what I mean? Yeah.
So Liz is like, well, I don't care, like, what if the rules don't change? I'm one hunt, so what do you think about that, Mr. Man?
Yeah,
like,
which is absolutely fair. Like,
I'm gonna hunt and provide for myself.
Exactly.
And she's getting again just really frustrated by her lack of agency in this new world. So Rahash is like, okay, you can come with me on my next hunt then.
Yeah.
And she's like,
okay.
Oh, okay. Like, she didn't expect him to bow out that quickly. And he's like, F. And she's like, here comes the F. So he says, if you lay with me tonight. Now, she's like, I am not exchanging sex.
Yes.
For anything. And he's like, no, I don't mean sex. Like, I just want you to hold me while we sleep. And I was like, oh my god, that's so sad.
That is very sad. Like, imagine having to blackmail somebody into cuddling you.
Oh, fuck. I was like, oh my god, like, and she instantly, like, regrets, like, immediately snapping at him, because she's like, oh, fuck, that's so sad.
That is really sad.
So yeah, she agrees. She's like, okay, we can lay and we can cuddle each other tonight if you will take me hunting tomorrow. And he's like, cool. So he makes her some proper shoes out of hides that he's been drying and like tanning and whatever. And while he does that, she works on her bow and arrows, and she kind of shows him. She's like, look, and then she kind of explains, and it's quite wholesome. They have reached a proper truce at this point.
Exactly.
And then they settle down to sleep. But the condition is that they must be naked, because partners sleep naked. Sure. And he's just like, please? And she's like, whatever, fine.
For fuck's sake, I guess. So
obviously they both get horny at the naked.
I mean, of course they do. Like, literally, what did he, what did she expect? Like,
oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. So, they're kind of studying each other's bodies, because obviously this is the first time she's ever seen him, like,
fully naked,
fully naked. And she's asking about, like, what his, what they call it, a spur, his little, like, horn thing.
Oh, on his stick, yeah.
Yeah, so she's asking what his spur is, and, like, why it's there. Just, like, wondering, like, what does it
It's
do?
a good question, because I don't think that was explained in the first book.
Yeah, and it turns out it's just like it's just a thing they have. There's no, like, it's one of those things where it's like, biologically it didn't kill off anyone who had it, so it obviously just got spread through genes, and now it's like the norm.
No, it's still there, yeah.
It's just what happens. It's like when someone randomly, like, millions of years ago got blue eyes and it didn't kill them instantly, they managed to pass on their genes, and then that's how that happened, you know?
Exactly.
Yep, so she's just like, okay. And he asks, oh, this is so sad. So obviously she's, like, paying a lot of attention to his spark. She's like, what the fuck? She's, like, wanting to know about it, and he's like, is it because of this that you don't want to have sex? Like, he's genuinely trying to understand, like, where she's coming from. Yeah. And he's like, is it because of that you won't do this, or is it because, like, of my scars and my horn? Like, is it because I'm too ugly? Like, is that why you don't want to have sex with me? It's really sad.
I mean, it's a bit sad.
And she's like, no, it's not because, like, you're ugly. She's like, you're not ugly. I think your scars actually make you look very handsome. Mm-hmm. Like, I think they make you look kind of...
She likes that rugged guy.
Oh, yeah. She's totally like, I like how rugged you are. It's not you, it's me kind of situation, where she's like, it's because I don't have a choice. I want it to be my choice.
Yeah.
Completely makes sense. So she kind of explains, look, on Earth, usually what the man does is they court, and then the woman decides whether they want to. And she, in her head, is going, this isn't exactly how it works, but this is the way that I can explain
it for now, okay, yeah.
Where she's like, the man courts, and then the woman decides whether she wants him or not, depending on
Just
her,
whether she fuck she wants, yeah,
exactly. And he gets kind of agitated by that, and he's like, well, what do you think I'm doing? Like, I go out and I hunt and I make you shoes and I do all like, and I keep you warm and I fed you and I clothe you and all these things where he's like, is this not courting? Like, what do I need to do to prove to you that I'm trying to be like, they're it's this moment where like finally they're communicating and reaching that point where they're having an actual discussion about it.
They actually are, yeah, exactly, which is good.
And he's like, and then Liv, quite right.
Liz! Fucking Liz!
How many times have I done it? Just once?
I just heard it this time, maybe I missed it another time, but...
Jesus, I'm so annoyed. Right, so Liz is like, yeah, but you're only having to do these things because you kidnapped me.
Yeah, exactly.
If we were at the main cave, you wouldn't have to be the only one that's providing because, for me. So it doesn't count.
Because like all he's doing is like, well, he's not actively killing her. Or, like,
well, that's it. He's just not letting her die.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's not
so,
kindness.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, quite rightfully, she's like, well, I don't want to talk about this anymore because I know I'm in the right. So she just kind of turns away from him and she gives him like the first like wifely cold shoulder, I think she kind of names it as. She's like, well, if he wants the marriage experience, this is what he's gonna fucking get. And obviously he's like, but Liz, if you want to go hunting, you have to cuddle. And she's like, you are a blackmailing jerk, which obviously he doesn't understand what jerk is, so she has to explain. So she kind of goes, look, your jerk means you're being mean, and blackmail means you're making me do something that I don't want to do in exchange for something that I do want to do.
Yeah.
And then he gets all fucking weird about it, and he's like, but your body wants me though, it's just your mouth that says like these things, which is gross.
This is so gross.
Because he's like using her queer like against her, and like because he's like rubbing her arm. And obviously that makes it like thrum. Of course. And he's like, well, I don't hear like the only thing that's saying no is your mouth, kind of thing. And she goes, well, it gets its say too.
Exactly.
It's allowed to have its say, she says. And he's like, it says plenty. Like,
it does.
He's like, yeah, I fucking know it does. So she's like, quit touching me. And obviously because she's like saying, no, don't do this, he thinks that they're playing the game again.
Yeah.
So he's like, I know this game. We just played it.
Yeah.
I've got to keep touching you. It's a weird mating ritual. And then he kind of verbalizes that. He's like, okay, this is what we're playing. And then like, oh, okay, yes. And then she realizes that she may have kind of fucked up with his idea of consent.
Yeah, she may have fucked up this time.
She's like, oh, fuck, yeah, maybe this isn't completely his
make
fault.
She didn't make it entirely clear.
She's like, ah, shit. So, obviously, kind of, you know, playing the game, he starts to like kiss and bite at her neck, which she quite likes, and she doesn't protest about, and he begins to I can't do the noise in the mic. That was horrific.
I know, because I was trying not to laugh, so I couldn't completely relax my mouth.
Fuck. It was so wet.
That's why it was so weird.
Fuck. So yeah, she gets real horny when he fingers her. But she's like, no, I gotta stay strong. Okay, maybe I don't have to stay so strong though. Maybe we can do this, but there's not going to be any P in the V. Like, and that's what she kind of like.
Yeah, she rationalizes it.
She rationalizes it to herself. So he asks like, while he's being all sexy, you know, he's like nibbling on her neck. He's like fingering her. He's like, "Do you want me to keep doing this, or shall I put your third nipple in my mouth?" Which instantly makes her laugh.
I mean, it's pretty funny.
Because he's never vocalised what he calls it. And she's like, what the fuck? And she's like, no, it's not. And it's not a nipple, it's a clitoris. And he's like, well, why is it there? And she's like, I don't know, why is your spur there?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's just a thing. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. So they explore each other's bodies and they keep like pointing out the differences, like how she she's so soft, he's hard, but there's parts of him that are softer,
Okay.
and he feels like velvet, essentially.
Yeah.
Strange, but interesting.
Because he's like a bit fuzzy as well, isn't he? So it's like velvety.
Yeah, he's got like kind of like fuzzy.
Yeah, peach fuzz kind of.
Peach fuzz situation. Yeah, it's kind of like in the last book where they sit and like look at their differences and just kind
exactly.
of feel each other.
Yeah,
and
see what's going on.
Obviously,
check out the goods.
Check out the goods. You know, you gotta assess
the situ.
the booty, and this only makes them make out naturally because they're just touching up on each other. So he keeps. While this is all going on, he's,
fingering her. Yeah.
Still lost in the sauce.
Yes.
and he asks her to say his name when he comes.
Wait, when does he come?
When she comes,
sorry.
When she comes. Because, like, he's never heard that from another person. So, it's kind of cute, but this boy do be lonely, huh?
Yeah, also... I don't like this whole like, oh yeah, say my name, baby thing.
Say my name, baby.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And she does. And he like talks about, he's like, oh, I can feel you clenching around me. It's so sexy and like stuff like that. Yeah. Whatever. And now it's his turn to be played with, and he is real hesitant because he's a virgin. He's a virgin, exactly. He's like a full-blown virgin, and he does disclose this, and he's like, is that a bad thing? She's like, no, it's just like, we're gonna go slow then, because I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. So this also makes Liz feel like a dick for the way that she's been like treating him.
Yeah, but she didn't know that, but...
Oh no, she didn't know that, but now she's like, okay, now this is contextualising him.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
If that makes sense.
Also, I'm impressed, like, though, how good he is at stuff, given he's a virgin, because... when I think back to the times, people think when I was like 19 or something, is like somebody's trying to stuff a chicken,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
yeah.
So good for her that he's. I'm having flashbacks.
I am. Yeah. I didn't need that today, but yep. Apparently, we just unlocked a memory from the back of my mind.
Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, this she's like very sympathetic to his side of things, where he's like, he's been desperate his whole life for someone to love him. The one chance he gets, she shows him no kindness. Yeah. And she's like, okay, maybe I can make a bit more of an effort as long as he is also going to make an effort. Yeah. Fair enough. So she's quite clearly like asking him, can I touch you, like where can I touch you, these kind of things,
teaching him how to do consent.
Exactly. Like she's like, okay, maybe I need to correct what I did last time, so he is so sensitive that he insta comes. Yeah, there's like
I love how this become a term that we use now.
Insta come.
Because that was sorry.
Mr.
Fucking wish 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, like no joke. She puts her tongue on his dick once, and he just goes. It's just like, and we're done. But that doesn't stop them. She quite clearly says, like, I'm going to make you come once, and then, because I know you're desperate.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to explore, is that okay? And he's like, yeah, that's fine.
That works for me.
He's like, he's too sensitive to even know
what's going on.
Well, not even, yes, but more like, he's too sensitive to know what's nice for him and what's not, so any touch is nice right now, so if they get that portion out of the way, then they can have, like, a proper intimate moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, this doesn't stop them. The BJ continues.
Of course it does.
She has a little laugh at his quite literal blue balls. He has had blue balls for years. And he's like, why are you laughing at me? And she's like, I'm not, I promise. It's like, it's so sad. He's like, oh my, I don't know. She kind of like...
It's like, have you seen Peep Show? Like, Robot was like, oh my god, what about me weird looking left testicle? Yeah.
Good crack. She kind of plays around with his spur, and she's like experimenting. She's like,
okay.
She's trying to like figure out if this is like,
if it feels good for him as well,
or if this is like the alien clitoris kind of situation. Yeah. It turns out it kind of is.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's just like she has to touch it in a specific way. It's like underneath the top part, not so much, but if she kind of goes underneath, then it's like a clit. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get it. Yeah.
It was just an interesting fact. I was like, this is so interesting. I'm learning about alien anatomy. I love it. Educational. So yeah, he comes again.
Of course he does. Yeah.
That's what you need to know.
Also, like, this is weird, but like his cum is never described, is it? Like if it's like human cum or
no.
Yeah. Because like they go into so much detail about all of this stuff.
Everything else. The cum is second thought.
I'm just see, like, it's just curious. Like, you know what I mean?
I just
like,
want to know.
I just want to know. Like,
I'm a curious boy.
Is it blue or?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Would be funny though.
That would be kind of funny. Just like all of them are blue. Do you remember we had this conversation? I think we had
this conversation.
We had this exact conversation last time. And I was like,
exactly.
People can be this colour and they don't come that colour. And we were like, yeah, that's true.
And I just remember that from last time. No, because I was just wondering, because for example the thing with the spore only gets explained in this book, which didn't get explained in the last book. That maybe this time we get more in the cum question as well, but apparently not.
No, maybe
that's how they keep you reading.
This is it. They reveal the secret slowly, like an advent calendar.
Exactly.
One a book. Yeah. So when they're done, Rahash cleans them up. Like he goes and gets like a pelt or whatever, and cleans them both up, and they curl up together, and they just like go to sleep, and it's quite sweet actually.
That's cute. Yeah.
They've kind of reconciled a little bit. They're on the path to becoming at least friends. Yeah.
Like something. They're getting on a little bit.
Yeah. He wakes first and thinks about his first sexual experience, and it immediately makes him excited to do more.
Of course it does.
But he's like, eventually.
Like, let's calm the fuck down.
Let's take this slow. And he gets ready for their first hunt together, and he like tries to wake her up, but he goes like, please wake up my love, my mate kind of thing, and she's like, not your mate. Give me 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
And then
mood.
Because like the night they shared together, he thought like things would maybe have changed a little bit more than her just immediately being like, oh, well, her exact words were, last night was just for funsies.
Okay.
So he's like,
no,
annoyed. Yeah. So he gets very pissy, and he says, well then, if you're not my mate, I will wake you up like any other lazy hunter with snow to the face if you don't get up right now. So he's instantly like, fine then, get the fuck up. So she's like, oh, okay, sorry. And they get out and go hunting together, and she kind of demonstrates how her bow works on some of the spongy trees.
Yep.
And he's really impressed, not only by like her, obviously the weapon he's never seen before, but like her knowledge. Her
skills, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like she's clearly like a skilled archer, not only just like she can kind of fire a bow, she's clearly very good. Even with like the weird kind of like, it's not perfect the way she's describing it, is like it's kind of off, and she has to like change. I mean,
because also she had to like make it all herself from like materials that aren't the same as, like regular wood. So that's understandable.
Totally, yeah. So he kind of thinks like, okay, we will like, I'll track then like the slowest creature I can find, so she can fill it with her arrows. Because he's like, okay, I want her to feel like she's done something, so I won't tell her, but we'll go looking for this type of animal, like an easy kill for her, and also it'll give her good practice.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
So he shows her how to track, because she hadn't actually learned that skill before. She'd done hunting but not tracking, and he kind of asks like, oh, you've hunted before but not tracked, like why? And she kind of explains that her and her dad had like hunted deer, but it was more like they had like a deer blind, like a thing that they could watch the deer from.
Oh yeah.
And then also they did this thing where you would like feed the deer at a certain time every day and gain their trust. It's fucked.
It's a bit fucked up, yeah.
It's upsetting. And like she herself is like, and then like, they wouldn't run away when you came one day to kill them, and they'd also be really fat, like they'd be like chunky and nice.
Yeah, you could eat.
And then Rahash is like, oh yeah, we have a similar thing. Some of the kits, like their kids, feed like the saber cat things.
Yeah, I
and
remember.
but he's like, but we call that pets, and then she's like, I know what fucking pets are, you dick. Like, she's like, okay, but we didn't have money, we weren't as privileged as other people.
Yeah.
You had to put meat on the table, and that's how we did it. And he's like, yeah, I'm not judging you, I'm just making conversation. So yeah, he teaches her how to hunt, and they end up like up a cliff, and they spot, I think it would be like kind of a similar like deer-like kind of creature. I can't remember exactly what the description was, but
yeah.
I know what you're thinking. It's not that yet. And there's like a stream where it's kind of drinking or resting, and they're up on the cliff. So it's too far away for Liz to fire
shoot
at,
it, yeah.
and the wind's against her and all these other things. So Rahash is like, okay, I'll head down a bit, see if we can find it. I can find a better spot. You watch it,
Yeah.
and
See what happens to it.
see where it goes. If it
Of
runs
course.
away somewhere, makes perfect sense. So yep, she is just vibing, watching this thing, and then she hears like a really weird chirp behind her, and she's like, the fuck?
What's going on?
So she turns around, and it's one of the Metlaks.
Yeah,
if you remember those.
exactly.
So the way they're described in book 1 is kind of like Ewoks. Like
That's scary, yeah. Like,
big,
they have like Furby faces.
furry,
but,
yeah, just like big furry creatures.
Yeah.
And it's a baby one.
Yeah, exactly. So the baby ones are like Ewoks, you know, so they're pretty cute. But
Yeah.
the bigger ones are like
Exactly.
less cute.
Oh yeah, they've got like fangs and shit. Like I'm picturing like monkeys almost.
Yeah.
Like really fuzzy monkeys.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I just can't get it, because she makes a comparison a few times to herself, like with a Furby face, and I just
Yes.
can't get that out of my head. Like a massive.
That would be scary.
That would be fucking terrifying.
So yeah, she's like, okay, it's just one of them. It's clearly a baby, but I have enough knowledge to know that if there's a baby around,
there's a mama around.
and yeah, that suspicion is confirmed. There's like a whole pack of them actually, and they are all kind of like emerging from like wherever up to the cliff. And Vahash is like, he's only made it a few feet away from, like he's not all the way down at the bottom of the hill already, but like he's not close to her anymore.
Nah.
And they're kind of cornered off from each other, so she's on the edge of this cliff, she realises as well, and being kind of like, they're slowly approaching her.
Yeah.
And then there's a small group kind of pushing Rahash further away and kind of coming up against him. And yeah, this is not going to end well. She realises really quickly that they are being hunted.
Yep.
And Rahash tells her, like, when I say run,
you fucking
you
run.
run.
You fucking leg it. Yeah.
like, I don't, like, this is not the time to be a hero.
Yeah.
You will not survive this. Fucking run.
Yeah.
But you know what Liz is like. So
You know
when
what
one
Liz
of
is
these creatures like jumps at her, she just fires.
Starts firing an
Yep.
arrow.
And,
Yep.
yeah. So to leave you guys on a cliffhanger, we're going to
Exactly.
do part 2 of this because it's quite long.
Yeah, it's quite long because
That's us only halfway,
yeah.
and we've already spent an hour and a half just fucking
getting through it, and we want to give you all the details. You know, we don't want to.
Totally.
We don't want to deprive you of any of the intense sex descriptions.
No, I wish we
It
would.
fell short. I wish we would.
I wish we would. General thoughts. We can't really do a ranking, obviously, because we've not told you the whole thing. But
oh, of course not.
we
Yeah.
can definitely have a little gab about it.
Yeah, but we do some general thoughts.
What do you think? Here's my first question for you.
Yes.
Do you like this book more than the first one?
That's what I was thinking as well, right? And because like, I think like they're actually really similar. Like they have the exact same structure. They really are. And I don't like the dynamics in either of them.
True. Personally, I prefer, and knowing what we know that goes on in the second half of this, I prefer the first one.
Yes, understandable. Yeah.
Because, not to spoil it, but I feel like the entire time, Liz is just not listened to, no matter what side is listening.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And that'll make sense when you hear
what's going on,
the final few chapters. It annoys me that she does just seem... I can totally understand that she is like... She kind of realises, hey, do you know what? I'm not doing an effort. yeah, I'm expecting him to do all the effort, blah blah blah, like, yeah, I guess, but also like,
he makes fuck all effort, exactly.
He kidnapped you, honey.
Exactly, he kidnapped you. See, that's what I mean, right? Because I feel like so much of this, like, it was the same in the first book, where it's like, oh, it's got this cute, like, oh, you know, like, fantasy, romance novel thingy. But then, like, the actual, like, messages in it, you know what I mean? Or, like, I find like they're, like, really dodge, like, the whole thing where it's like, oh, but it's actually kind of my fault because I wasn't nice enough to my kidnapper, you know? And it's like, no, honey, you know?
Yeah.
Or also, like, how, like the whole thing with, you know, like she blamed him for, well, she blamed herself for, teaching him, like, the wrong thing about consent, like, really pissed me off as well, because, like, even with, like, no social skills, you understand, like, somebody, like, pushing you away, don't get touching them, you know what I mean?
It pisses me off that Ruby Dixon literally created, like, a whole world where she could have created anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And what she decided to choose was a group of people who don't have consent.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
As a concept, yeah, exactly.
As a concept, because their whole thing is like, oh, well, the queen chooses and it's that simple.
Yeah, you just claim your May, exactly. It's just fucked up.
To me, it's just stupid.
Yeah, exactly. And then this is sort of the thing, right? Like with the, the reason that women aren't had, not because they can, but because insert dumb narrative bullshit excuse, you know what I mean? Like, because it is a fantasy novel, you could do anything you want, but you have to come up with this, like, weird dumb bullshit while, like, oh yeah, but no, women have to stay home and look after the cave and make the babies because that's just how it has to be, you know? And it's like, shut the fuck up, you know? Like, because, like, so much of it, like on the surface, you have, like, oh yeah, no, like, this is kind of mouthy, and then, you know, Georgie was, like, smart and everything as well, but, like, not really, you know what I mean? Like, it's very, like, superficially
totally
cool with women being
yeah
people, you know?
Yeah. Because, like, Liz is definitely not beaten into submission.
Oh, no, not at all.
It is not like Flashbang.
Yeah, it's not like Flashbang, yeah.
It is not like Flashbang. But it is too...
Which is a low bar.
Exactly. But it's too similar for Flashbang for me to be, like, completely enamoured with the world.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, because once again, you know, because this being, like, fantasy, you could do anything, like, because, like, this whole dynamic with, you know, like, them... See, if you just have, you know, like, okay, so it's them two stuck in this cave together, neither of them can leave, really, and they, you know, so they have, like, this whole, like, queer thing. I don't mind the whole queer thing, like, I think that's, you know, that's kind of, that's fun and everything. It's kind of fun, right? But, like, you could play out this exact scenario and dynamic without all the weird rape shit as well, you know? And, like, the weird, like, the women can come thing, like, you could, you know, there would be so many options where you could, like, just, like, make this so much, like, still have, you know, like, all the fun with it, and, like, them, you know, like, learning to get over the differences, and, like, learning, like, getting to know each other, and, you know, like, kind of, like, you know, and the struggle between, like, their queer resonating and them, like, not liking each other, not talking, really getting to know each other, and, like, building intimacy. You could have all that without the weird, like, oh, but actually kind of really just want to rape her, you know, in, like, every fucking other sentence.
It annoys me that this is a fantasy novel, and I don't feel like it's a world where I want to be in. When I read fantasy, what I'm looking for is, like, you had literally all the tools at your disposal to make a world where men and women are equal, and you chose
not
deliberately not to.
Exactly.
And that is, like, it
pisses me off.
It's just annoying, because I'm like, well, why can't like, and it happens in all, let's be honest, it happens in the majority of fantasy, right?
Exactly, which I hate so much. Yeah.
Like, Fellowship of the Ring, fucking Arwen is a badass bitch.
Oh, absolutely.
Why is she not going with the Fellowship?
Exactly.
Because she's
Why
pregnant.
Is she not? Yeah.
That's it.
Dumbass excuse. Exactly.
And she doesn't even know she's pregnant until, like, later on.
Exactly,
Shit.
because, like, you know, it's one thing, like, see, because I'm not even, like, saying, like, oh, pregnant women need to, like, it's fine to want to, like, protect pregnant women from horror, keep them safe. That is not the thing, right? But, like, you know, Arwen didn't know she was pregnant. Fucking Liz isn't pregnant currently, you know, so, like, why the fuck can she not, you know?
Arwen is the only one that defends them from ring wraiths successfully. Exactly. And yet she is not taken on that journey. For whatever reason.
No fucking
even
reason.
though ring wraiths are, like, their biggest threat that entire time.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I know. And
you
it
know?
makes me mad. Yeah, see, because, like, obviously, you know, because, like, all these types of books, I mean, Lord of the Rings, not, but, like these fantasy books, you know, are geared towards women as, like, a nice little, like, self-insert escapism kind of thing. And then
Sci-fi
you still
was fucking created by a woman. you know?
The what?
Sci-fi was created by Mary Shelley.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly. And then there's still misogyny in our little, like, escape room. Like, is it in the entire universe and all other universes?
It's like, how am I
why?
supposed to enjoy the escapism when there's real life issues in it?
Exactly.
Regardless.
Yeah, because...
How am I supposed to escape?
Exactly.
I'm not escaping.
I'm not escaping.
I'm just trapped in a new way.
Yeah, I know. I mean, at least she comes.
Is that your midpoint moral of the story? At least she comes.
Yeah, that's my midpoint of moral of the story. Is like,
it's not completely bad, I guess.
like, okay, one thing I will say, like, the actual sex is written better than some of the other shit we've read.
True.
And like,
True.
yeah, so like in the actual sex scenes, everybody's actually enjoying themselves, which I think is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like we've had a stinker couple of books, by the way.
Oh, we have
not the quickies. I feel like the quickies have been all right.
Yeah.
Not the one that's coming out after
Not
this.
the, oh
that
my
quickie
god, guys.
killed us.
Yeah, oh my god, we struggled,
We
mate.
cried. We didn't look at each other for an hour afterwards.
Yeah, we were like, I'm not gonna go to bed. Yeah,
We couldn't even read it. That's how bad it was.
Just to get excited a bit. But yeah, I know it was just me because like Flashbang was like a piece of shit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Can we just... We said this in another recording, I'm sure. Can we just pick a nice book?
We need honestly, if you have any recommendations, like we really need like...
We just
like,
need a wholesome... I would do Bear Paw Ridge 2, but I don't want to fall into the trap of just doing the sequels of the books we've already read.
I think we have some options though, like
we do.
kind of, like I think we find something wholesome.
We've got two different
At
lesbian
last we will.
romances that we're looking at, and
They both look pretty cute, yeah.
and they seem quite wholesome.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is where we're going to branch off. But obviously it's going to be probably another quickie after this, and then...
Part 2.
Part 2?
Exactly.
Part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Let's find out if they finally fuck. That's it from us for this week. Come back next time if you're not too scarred. You can find us on Twitter and TikTok at NotMyCupOfTeaPod with a capital T instead of tea like the drink. And Instagram at NotMyCupOfTeaPodcast, just to make it extra confusing. That's T spelled out. And you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you are listening to this right now. Also, spicy thanks to our composer Kyle Clark, cover artist Oliver Groves, and the brave editor Andy Wells. Till next time!